Hector's admiration gave him a buzz. Eager to deepen it, he invited Hector to a theater production in which he would soon appear. He had landed a part in his first off-Broadway show, a humorless, surreal drama entitled Confessions of a Ghost. His character, Ergamo, wasn't a lead but had plenty of supporting face time, so Bruce was excited. It will help your reading to hear how written language can bring real conversations to life, he rationalized to Hector, who simply beamed at being asked. The cramped black box theater held 30 folding chairs on a 3-tier platform. The space was dingy and the hallways cluttered, hardly a glamorous setting for Bruce's New York debut. Everyone started somewhere, though. He imagined one day telling the tale of his rough and ready early days on the fringe of the scene in the big bad city. Hector had never seen a play before. At one point, Bruce caught a peripheral glance of him from the stage. His jaw hung slack, indicating either wonder or boredom. Afterward, the actor came to the lobby to greet his student. "Hi, Hector. Did you have a good time?" "Yes, good. He nodded a few times and waved as he walked away. Disappointed by the paucity of feedback, Bruce chided himself for wasting his guest ticket. The next tutoring session at room 5 began with a gift. "You got gold in your ear," observed Hector, referring to the post Bruce kept in his one pierced ear. "I got you this." He produced a single earring, a delicate chain designed to hang from the lobe. A small black stone dangled at the end. Bruce felt nothing for the jewelry, but it meant something that Hector would give it to him. "This guy loves me. I've become important to this simple man. He looks up to me as a source of knowledge. I'm showing him what's possible in life, and he's showing me gratitude." The two held eye contact for a moment, Hector searching plaintively for something perhaps unattainable in the other. "Wow," thought Bruce uncomfortably. "I didn't think he even liked the play." "Hector, I'm touched." "Can I put it on you?" "Sure." The two were facing each other in child-sized desks a foot apart. Hector leaned across them, reaching toward Bruce's left ear. "Hold on a minute," said Bruce, removing the stud that kept the piercing open. "Okay." It took a few times to get the thin gold hook through the lobe. Hector's face was necessarily close to Bruce's throughout the 2-minute effort. Bruce tried not to study the furrowed brow 2 inches from the bridge of his nose. Heavy breaths rhythmically seeped through Hector's slightly open mouth. Bruce discreetly held his breath to fend off possible halitosis. When he finally exhaled to take in more oxygen, he was surprised to discover that Hector smelled like patchouli. Upon completion of the task, Hector examined his handiwork with pride. Bruce took in his smile, unguarded for the first time but still belabored. The pinched smile seemed to cordon off hidden sadnesses lurking within. "My fellow man in need," thought the suburban Catholic boy. Simple, simple man. The following Tuesday, Bruce received a call at home from an unfamiliar voice. "Mr. Raymer, this is Gordon Brown, Hector Baez's roommate. He has some things he needs to do on the west side this morning and can't get to the settlement in time for your lesson. Would you be amenable to coming over here? We'll make lunch for you." Why doesn't Hector call himself, Bruce wondered, but nonetheless agreed. Preparing to depart, he hastily donned Hector's gift. Let him know I like it, he thought, though in truth he harbored little affection for it. He walked to the west side, then jumped on the one train downtown to the Tribeca address, which turned out to be a glassy, tall, modern condo building. His eyebrows lifted in surprise. Most settlement clients lived in crumbling tenements. A stocky man in his 50s greeted him at the door of the 11th floor apartment. At 5'6", Gordon had a moon face, sun-baked skin, and white thinning hair. Motioning for Bruce to enter, he made no pretense of pleasantry. They quickly passed through the spotless living room, which reminded Bruce of his Uncle Rodney's place in Raleigh, replete with vintage 60s modern furniture, a low-polished wood coffee table serving as a television stand, A leather swivel chair parked at a spare, sleek desk with an impractical but stylish red ceramic lamp. A broad-armed purple continental sofa inviting without promising comfort if sat upon. Hector awaited them at a round white table in the gleaming, ample kitchen. 3 plates held ham sandwiches with a simple salad. "Juice, iced tea, or water?" asked Brown. "Water, thanks." "Hi, Hector. Sounds like you've had a busy morning." Hector neither confirmed nor denied it. "You wore the ring," he observed. Bruce smiled sheepishly. "Well, since you were thoughtful enough to get it for me, I wanted to wear it." Hector smiled his pained smile. Looking triumphantly in Brown's direction, he received a brief glower in return. The 3 proceeded to tuck into their sandwiches without conversation. After several bites, Brown broke the silence. "So, how's he coming along?" Bruce chewed through his bite of sandwich and swallowed before answering. "Well, quite well." "And how do you measure that?" "I'm just offering a general opinion." "How many students do you teach, Mr. Raymer?" "Just Hector at the moment." "I value your opinion anyway. Do you think Hector has potential?" Bruce's back straightened. What's going on? Hector stared at the wall, apparently unfazed. When an answer did not come forth, Brown changed directions. "Tell me, Bruce, what made you decide to become a tutor at the settlement?" "Well, Gordon, I believe in the work. I think everyone starts with a chance to be happy, productive, and successful in life. Some of us get more breaks to start. Those of us who have been lucky in that way have a responsibility to those who have been less lucky. To pull them up somehow." His voice had an almost metallic edge. "Nasty. What did I do?" Bruce felt blood rushing to his face. "Well, no, I think they're already up. They just need some support to see it and believe in themselves." Brown shook his head hopelessly. That's palaver. What are you doing in New York? You should be in the Peace Corps." Unused to the curtness of New Yorkers, Bruce felt paralyzed to respond. Hector silently drew a circle and the condensation on his water glass. "You really think everyone has the same shot in life? Do you have any idea what kind of lives your pupils come from? The kind of damage that happens in poor families, if they're lucky enough to have a family at all?" "Of course I do," Bruce snapped defensively. "What I'm saying is if you dig around enough in someone, you'll find gold." "So you like digging around in people. Play to their hope and tell them they can do more than they can so you feel like a big shot." The grain of truth in the accusation stung. "You vampire," he continued, "it isn't about you. You want to play Jesus Christ? You really want to help somebody? You have to love them to even get to the starting line." What the hell is going on? This guy is disturbed. Brown leaned to his left and gently placed a hand on the small of Hector's back. Having remained expressionless through the diatribe, Hector recoiled slightly at the older man's touch. "Are they?" Raymer's heart dipped further. "I do love them, Mr. Brown," he proclaimed sadly. "I care." Brown smirked. "Hear that, Hector? You're a them. You're one of them to this guy. Not a you, a them." If Hector was pained by the notion, it didn't show. Bruce was unsure whether he was following the conversation. "I'm talking about clients," he clarified angrily, "not ethnicities or classes of people." "Who said anything about ethnicity?" Brown snarled. "Mr. Wide-Eyed Boy from the burbs slumming in the city to get a taste of the colorful ghetto. This place is like a zoo to you, isn't it? Hector, you're like a specimen to this guy, some bug under a microscope. He's examining you." "I am not," Bruce protested. "What's your problem, man? I'm just trying to help your friend." "You don't love him." "Why do you keep saying that? Of course I do." But he knew he was lying. He was trying to be generous, like Christ, just as Brown had charged. He'd been forcing it since he began at the settlement. Doing good was hard work and, as he was learning, often thankless. The indictment was undermining his resolve. "Hear that?" Hector murmured to Gordon. "He loves me. I told you." He tugged at the matching black stone dangling from his own left ear. Bruce's eyes widened with understanding. "He's got a crush on me." Brown's whole attitude toward Hector suddenly became clear. "He wants Hector, but Hector wants me." "That's not what he means," Gordon lectured. "Who took you off the street and gave you a place to live? Who was taking care of you and really loved you? Not this fake. You're just some unfortunate he looks down on and pretends to help so he feels better about himself." Bruce braced for some kind of reaction from Hector, perhaps push back against Brown for trying to eviscerate his new love, or perhaps toward Bruce himself if he bought into Brown's slander. But Hector simply stared at his water glass, seemingly indifferent to the argument. "Never should have agreed to come here," Bruce chastised himself. "Put myself and my client in harm's way. Stupid!" Struggling to control his indignation and prevent the scene from escalating, he attempted to measure his response. "Mr. Brown, how dare you project all those ugly attitudes onto me? We never met until half an hour ago. You don't know me at all." He turned to Hector. "I am your friend. The things he's saying about me are untrue, but I should leave now. Apologies for the lesson, but I don't think I'm welcome here. See you at the settlement Thursday." Hector remained mum as Brown gloated. Bruce let himself out without another word. On Thursday morning, Maya intercepted Bruce on his way to room 5. "I'm reassigning you again," she said. "That Brown is a nightmare. He's a predator, and he was awful to me. Doesn't he care about Hector learning anything at all? As if I had designs on that pathetic little guy." Maya was unmoved. "You didn't understand what was happening. You're not tuned into how people live here. You need to be able to do that to do this job." "Maybe I'm still learning, but I did nothing wrong. Just made myself available to try to help this person and got dragged through hot coals for it by some sick perv." "Coals? Those aren't coals by our standards. That was barely warm. Look, this work is never simple. You need thick skin to stick with it. Sometimes it's better to thicken it in stages. Take a step back for a little while to think about what happened and what it means for you." Bruce felt his face flush with humiliation. "Are you firing me, Maya? Just take a little break. If you still want to do the work in a month, we can talk." "What did I do, Maya?" he protested. "You sent him the wrong signals. You could have nipped it in the bud, but you were too concerned with winning him over. Your radar was bad." "You could have warned me," he said resentfully. "Do you really feel equipped to go in there and deal with him today?" she asked sharply. "You made it about you, Bruce. It's always about the client, no matter how slow or unproductive or weird or ugly or frustrating it gets. Please think about that," she said, then turned in the direction of her office. Dazed, Bruce descended the interminable flight of stairs and pushed open the front door into a clear day with a deep azure sky. Trudging down the hill toward Alphabet City, he passed a pickup soccer game beneath the bridge. Those kids should be in school. As he passed, the game degenerated into a shouting match. A minute later, he heard flesh pounding flesh behind him, a symphony of slapping and yelling punctuated by the intermittent percussion of landing punches. Their pain exhausted him. "I am an actor." He kept walking. "To hell with you guys. I tried to help. Kick the crap out of each other for all I care."